Iol PowerPoint presentation for the year 2021, subject DPPE and DJPE, PHE 12. Presenter Mrs. A.C. Stein, telephone number 081 277 5321. Good morning, I'm Mrs. Ansie Stein, your tutor for PHE 12 for this year. Welcome to the presentation for this subject. I hope you enjoy your studies and that you will be successful this year. Success comes with dedicated, consistent work. My contact details are 081 277 5321. That's my cell phone number, and ansiestein@hotmail.com, my email address. You're welcome to contact me from Mondays till Saturdays from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. You can either phone me or SMS or email me. In the latter case, I can send you a detailed answer. Please feel free to ask if anything is unclear or if you have problems regarding your subject. I'm willing to assist as far as I can. I'm going to discuss the most important facts of each unit separately. You then will be able to follow the content discussed if you page through your study guide while I'm discussing the content. Please note that this presentation is not a discussion of any exam paper, but of the most important content for the whole year. As an introduction to the study guide, I'm shortly going to explain some information regarding the guide itself. When you page to the front of the study guide, you will find a detailed table of contents. Here you will find the headings of the complete content, and you will be able to have an overview of your subject for the year. Take time to read through it, to familiarize yourself with the content you're going to study. To just start studying before the exams will not be wise, and it will be hard to write the exams successfully. I recommend that you spend time every day with your studies. Even half an hour every day will be worthwhile. Consistency is the key to being a successful student. When you turn the page, you will find verbs, thinking processes. These words form the key of the assignment and also the exam paper. For example, when you are requested to analyze facts, you will have to present facts in detail. And when you have to outline, you have to only give an overview and present the main features. Make sure to know what is expected of you when these verbs are present in your assignment and exam paper. When you turn to Unit 1, you firstly find the table of content of this unit and then the learning outcomes. Learning outcomes are an indication of what content you will find in the specific unit. Learning activities, that's LA in short, follow the learning outcomes. In these learning activities, you will find specific questions regarding the content of the specific unit. When studying for the exams, use these questions to study because they form the core of the content and are very important. Do not forget to also study the assignment you completed because some of the questions will be asked in the exams. Now I'm going to page to Unit 1. In LA, remember that's Learning Activity 1. Unit 1, the aims of physical education are discussed. One of the aims, that's benefits, is that it helps maintain physical fitness and improves balance. It widens the learner's movement experience. It contributes to the emotional development of the learners. But there are quite a few more, as discussed here. Study all aims to know them well. Also set out in 1.1.1 and in 1.1.7 for DJPE, and 1.1.5 and 1.1.6 for DPPE. In 1.1.3, that's in DJPE, and 1.1.1 for DPPE, the level of physical development of different ages are set out. You only need to study the development of 5 and 9-year-old children for now. A 5-year-old can hop and skip and dress without help, amongst others. A 9-year-old can roll and bat and throw a ball. These are only a few qualities. Study to know all of them for 5 and 9-year-olds. Also in 1.1.1, that's in 2.5 for DPPE, the definition of eye-foot coordination is explained. The eyes visually steer the movement of the feet and control the movement of the body using the legs and feet. Also important to study is how physical education enhances academic performance. That's in 1.1.4 for DJPE and 1.1.2 for DPPE. In 1.2, that's in 1.1.6 for DPPE, you only need to study strengthened peer relationships, meaning that PE contributes to help learners socialize and learn positive people skills, and some other facts regarding this topic. Play is the most natural of childhood activities. In fact, children develop certain skills while playing. When we turn to LA2, the benefits and necessity of playful activities are discussed. Like, for example, they learn to solve problems when they play. They learn self-control and control of their muscles to become more skillful. They learn to care for others. They learn to investigate and discover. They share and take risks, etc. Study all 13 these aims as listed here. In a school, learners play indoors, that's in the classroom, and also outdoors, that's on the playground. In LA3, the challenges and benefits of indoor play are set out. It enhances social skills. They learn to play in harmony with their peers. It increases physical and motor skills. They learn to communicate and they develop their language. It teaches them to take risks because the indoors is a small, safe place. And lastly, indoors create an environment where their imaginations can be unlimited. They play with fantasy clothes on. They paint and draw and they build with blocks. All activities where they use their imaginations. Safety procedures during PE class is very important, as found in 1.8, but in 1.7 for DPPE. Regarding posture, warm up and cool down, clothing and equipment. Study these extensively to be able to discuss them. After an active PE lesson, learners should be calmed down and become relaxed. In 1.9, that's for DJPE, but in 1.8 for DPPE, some relaxation exercises are set out. One would be to instruct learners to close their eyes, breathing deeply through their nose, keeping their breaths and counting to 3. Now they should breathe out slowly with a long sigh. Study or at least 4 of these exercises, and you should be able to describe each of the 4 you study. Also in 1.9, abdominal breathing is described. You must study this technique of abdominal breathing to be able to describe it in detail. Do this breathing technique yourself by describing it while you are doing it. In this way, you will be able to describe it successfully in the exams. Please remember that because the DPPE and DJPE courses are presented in a combined way, the content of the 2 study guides may not be 100% the same. But it is very important to note that both study guides' content are taken into account when setting up exam papers and when they are marked. So it will be correct to study from the study guide you received from IOL, and it will in no way influence your marks in a negative way. Because the learning activities play such a vital part in your studies, I'm going to refer to them quite often. Now let us turn to Unit 2 now. In Unit 2, it is about the gross motor development of children, meaning the development of the arms and legs. In 1.1, quite a few games or activities to develop these gross motor skills are discussed. One of them is dodgems. If you do not know how this game is played, read and study it in 2.1.1. Also, the other activities discussed here, very important to know their names and also what they entail. Know how each game and activity in 2.1.1 is played. Also, playing ball, as discussed in 2.1.2, can enhance the large muscles of the body. I'm going to concentrate on ball play activities in this heading. To throw, to catch, bounce a ball to someone, to kick a stationary or moving ball, to roll or bounce with 1 or 2 hands, to bounce with alternative hands. These are all activities where ball play can be used to develop hand, arm, leg and feet muscles. That's the large muscles of the body as found in 2.1.2. You should be able to name the activities, but also which muscles each one of them develops. For example, when they hop and skip, children develop the leg muscles, that's the large muscles. When they throw a ball, their hand and arm muscles are developed and enhanced. Also, when they use a balance beam, using the leg muscles to carefully walk on a narrow piece of wood. So study 2.1.2 in detail. The important content in 2.2 is the paragraph where specific activities are discussed which can improve balance skills, like to walk on an unstable surface like a pillow or beanbags, to swing on an unstable swing or a climbing ladder, swings that move in unexpected directions, forcing the trunk, that's the muscles of the lower part of the body, to do more work. Wheelbarrow walking, as described in this paragraph. Gross motor development concerns the development of the big muscle groups as in 2.1, like the arm and leg muscles. Whereas fine muscles concern the small muscles of the body, like the eye and finger muscles as described in 3.1. In 2.4, activities which develop eye-hand coordination are named, namely puzzle building, playing with pegs where the eyes are used to help the hands to act, playing with dough, etc. Study the names of these activities to be able to list them. Also in 2.4, 3 eye exercises are discussed. I'm only going to discuss eye circle exercises discussed in 2.4, but you must make sure to know all 3 exercises. Let the child try to move his or her eyes in circles, not moving the head or any body part. First, small clockwise circles for a minute or less. Then the child must close his or her eyes and again move the eyes in circles. Make sure not to move other body parts. So you will notice that each exercise requires a certain technique which you should teach to the learners in the correct way. In 2.4 and 2.5, that's in DPPE, and 2.4 and 1.1.1, that's in DJPE, eye foot and eye hand coordination are mentioned. You should know what these concepts entail. Eye-hand coordination happens when the hands perform movements as directed by the eyes. Eye-foot coordination happens when the feet perform movements as directed by the eyes. Or another definition would be that eye-foot coordination is when the movement of the body is controlled by the legs and feet using the eyes to tell them where to go. The body is visually steered by the feet. Make sure to know these definitions. In 2.7.3, activities to develop spatial awareness are discussed. You need to be able to name them and discuss them. Teachers should be able to help learners develop spatial awareness. In other words, finding items in a certain space, like a room, while receiving instructions where to find these items. But parents can also help with that at home by, for example, telling them to fetch the ball, which is behind the bed or in the cupboard. Study 2.7.4 to be able to find out ways for parents to help teaching their children to get acquainted with space. That's spatial awareness. When we look at 2.8.2, the sandpit found outside is discussed. Do you know what muscles are developed when a child plays in a sandpit? That's a large box filled with sand on a playground. If you're not acquainted with how it looks like, read 2.8.2's first paragraph. When they build sandcastles, their hand and finger, that's the small muscles, are used and therefore strengthened. They use and enhance their imagination. They socialize. They feel the texture of the sand. They also learn physical and cognitive skills. Know these benefits. But also discussed in 2.8.2 is the role of the teacher while children are playing on the playground. The children should feel comfortable to ask the teacher questions. The teacher should observe the learners and interact in a non-directive manner. In other words, not telling them what to do, but let them explore themselves. The teacher provides support and asks open-ended questions. That's not wrong or right answers, but the child's own interpretation accepted. Study the paragraph regarding the teacher's role extensively. In this unit, LA5 and 7 are very important. LA5 is about the 6 basic concepts to use when you teach children how to develop rhythm. One would be that you as teacher can tell them that they can move as they like, as long as they do not bump into others and hurt their peers. Another concept would be that they need not do what everyone else does. They can move in any way the music tells them to do. This will encourage creative moves as well as rhythm in the learners. There are 4 more concepts. Know them all. Also, LA7 is important. Know the different play equipment discussed here, meaning what they are and how they look like and how they develop learners' muscles. That's the large or small muscles. Do you know what skills each equipment develops? Make sure. They are all discussed in full in LA7, so make sure to know them. We're finished with the important content of Unit 2, so let's turn to Unit 3 now. In 3.2.1, it is stated that a child's vision, that's eyesight, keeps on developing during the preschool years. A child then develops eye, hand, body coordination, also fine motor, that's hands and finger skills, and visual motor skills. So why should a child's eyes be tested? Read and know the reasons in 3.2.1. There are activities which can facilitate, that's help, to enhance a child's visual development. Like reading aloud to the child, but the child must see what is being read to him or her. Like providing a chalkboard or finger paints and demonstrate to them how to use them in play. And like allow time for interacting with others and also for playing alone. Know these 3 activities and ways to facilitate learners in this regard. You should know what small, that's fine muscles, entail. Fine muscle movements involve the coordination of the small muscles in the body, like in the hands, fingers, and eyes. Can you explain the difference then between small and large muscles? Make sure to know the difference. The next point of interest in Unit 3 is also in 3.2.1. A child needs certain basic vision, that's eye skills, to be successful in a school. One of them is near vision, to be able to see near objects well. Distance or far vision is necessary. Binocular vision, meaning to use both eyes for depth vision. To focus well, etc. You need to study these in detail, but you should know all the names of these skills needed. A child's tongue muscles can be exercised. In 3.2.2, 3 exercises for this are described, namely when blowing bubbles, blow a harmonica, or when blowing a kazoo. Study what these 3 exercises entail, in other words, the names, but also each one's description. But also very important in 3.2.2 are the exercises for tactile stimulation that are discussed. Tactile stimulation refers to the stimulation, that's waking up, of a muscle area by sense of touch when it's touched. Brushing of both the lips with a toothbrush wakes up the muscle area of the lips when the lips are touched with a toothbrush. And icing, meaning to put ice on the lips, will wake up those muscles. To lick ice cream with the tongue, not lips, will exercise the muscles of the tongue and will wake them up. Peanut butter on the lips is also another exercise for tactile stimulation. Quite a few different exercises are described using peanut butter. Study the above-mentioned exercises, but importantly, you should also know how the exercises should be done in order to let tactile stimulation take place. A good way will be to do these exercises yourself. In this way, you will experience the waking up, but also how they should be executed. One always remembers facts better when you experience them yourself. Will you be able to discuss the purpose of isometric exercises? Isometric exercises are exercises done to increase the strength of the muscles by pushing them against an immovable, that's a steadfast force. To explain, when you push your tongue using the tongue muscles against a spoon which does not move, the muscles of the tongue get stronger because they are exercised against a strong force which does not move. You can read the details in 3.2.2. So why are tongue muscles exercises important then? It is very important for speech development, and it will improve pronunciation of words, as explained in 3.2.2. Also in Unit 3 is how rhythm exercises develop the fine muscles. That's in 3.4. Start by naming that it may or may not be accompanied by music. The learner uses his or her body to express feelings, and this gives the child pleasure and stimulates ideas on how to move according to music. While doing this, the fine muscles are exercised and concentration improves. They also become aware of their bodies and what it can do. Again, as in all units, some LAs, that's learning activities, should be studied. In Unit 3, LA 5 and 6 are important. LA 5 describes stop and go games. For now, you only need to study the game red light, purple light. The best way, again, to know the game in full would be to play the game yourself. Remember, you must be able to describe the game from start to end, not only partly. You only need to study this game in LA5. LA6 discusses the 4 levels of rhythmic activities for children. In short, this means that young children develop in certain stages regarding music and rhythm. Stage 1 is where the child has a very short attention span, not more than 10 to 15 minutes, where the music has a definite beat, where learners follow a movement pattern. Level 2 occurs when children has a longer attention span of 15 to 20 minutes, and they can respond to music using props such as hula hoops, balls, and jump ropes. During level 3, they are able to create their own rhythmic movement sequences, and they're also able to share them with others. During the last level, that's 4, children prefer to walk in small groups rather than in pairs, and they can imitate well-known dances and sports moves. Their attention span can now be up to 30 minutes. Make sure to know and be able to describe these 4 levels in detail as set out in LA6. Now, let's page to Unit 4 now. Do you know the different body parts? Do you know the 3 main parts of the body? Do you know which organ is the most important of the body? Do you know what the limbs of a human being entail? You will find all the answers in 4.1. I'm only going to explain the functioning of the most important organ in the body, namely the brain. The brain is connected to the entire body through nerves, composing together the nervous system and making other body parts, organs, act. For example, when we see an object coming fast towards us, the eyes send the image to the brain. After the information is processed in the brain sends commands through the nerves to our muscles, making our body dodge. To find out what different systems and muscles can be found in the body and how the different systems of the body work, turn to 4.2. Under this point, you need to know the ears, the nervous, the circulatory, and endocrine systems. The muscles and skeleton's functions, in other words, what each one's purpose is, as described in 4.2. Also, how the respiratory system works. As we all know, some people are right-handed and some are left-handed. So how will you know which learners are right and which are left-handed? There are several tests a teacher can do. For example, you can let them make a drawing using a paper and crayons, and the hand he or she uses will be the dominant one. You can let them take a toilet roll and let them peep through it. The eyes the child uses will be the dominant one. To find out more, study only the tests as set out in 4.3. In 4.4.1, several ways how to teach learners where their left and right sides are described. You can tell them to put, for example, a pencil on their right-hand side and the ruler on their left-hand side. You can teach them that we write from left to right. You can ask them to put a sock on their right foot and a shoe on their left foot. There are many more ways described in 4.4.1. Study to know them all. Remember that to teach them left and right is not the same as to find out what hand they write with or foot they kick a ball with. That's dominancy. You need to be able to name all the systems a human body consists of, as named in LA1 Unit 4. Study to be able to name them all. In LA6, there are 2 important definitions, namely lateral midline, that's the vertical middle line of the body, and the second one is ambidextrous. You can use your left and right hand side with equal skills, then you're ambidextrous. We have completed the most important content of Unit 4, so let's turn to Unit 5 now, where PE opportunities for pre-primary learners are discussed. Stress is a major problem these days, also in younger learners. How will you know that the child in front of you is stressed? Mood swings, acting out, and bedwetting are some of the signs of stress. See and study all the symptoms of stress in 5.1. But what are the causes of stress then? In 5.2, that's DJPE, and 5.2.1 in DPPE, they are set out. The causes can be an unhealthy lifestyle, taking on too much, conflicts at school, and major life changes like moving to another school are but some of the causes. Study them in detail regarding this subject. Will you be able to manage the stress you experience, and how can that be done? By learning to manage your time more effectively, by making small changes to live healthier. Do not take on too much, which can be stressful, etc. All the tips to be able to make life less stressful are found in 5.3 DJPE and 5.2.2 DPPE, and also LA3 for both DJPE and DPPE. Study them all. The next question will be, how can this emotional stress be reduced? In 5.5.2, that's DPPE, and 5.6.2 in DJPE, it is mentioned that laughter can be relaxing. By counting one's blessings, to practice art, to paint or draw, by spending time with playful, fun people, and by bringing humor into conversations are a few ways to relieve stress. Study these facts to know ways to relieve stress in your as well as your learners' lives. Do you know how a relaxed body looks like? The limbs are relaxed, breathing is steady and slower, and hands hang loose and are generally open, amongst other symptoms. See and study them all in 5.4 JPE, and that's in 5.3 in DPPE. That's very important. So, would you be able to identify a tense body? Yes, all these symptoms will be the opposite of those described in 5.4 JPE, 5.3 in the DPPE study guide. For example, the limbs will not be relaxed, but it will be tense. Breathing is faster, etc. Now we're finished with Unit 5. Let us page to the last unit of importance, namely Unit 6. In 6.1, 10 tips to stay fit and healthy are discussed. For example, eat lots of different kinds of a variety of food. Why? Why do we need a variety? We need 40 different kinds of vitamins and minerals every day. No food contains all these kinds of vitamins and minerals. So we need to balance our daily choices in order to eat different kinds of food, which contain all 40 kinds altogether. Therefore, eat a variety of food. Eat fruit and vegetables with each meal, at least 5 portions per day. Drink plenty of liquids. Why should we drink plenty of liquid? Study this as found in 6.1. Breakfast is a very important meal to eat, to let your body start working. Brush your teeth twice a day. Eat regularly and a variety of snacks and 5 servings of fruit and vegetables, and be active every day. There are more tips. Study them in 6.1 and also in LA1. Also study the different main food groups, namely proteins, which build our bodies, and carbohydrates. Fats, too much is unhealthy, and vitamins, which are protective foods, and minerals. Know their names, but also the importance of each one. Proteins, for example, are the bodybuilding foods, and carbohydrates are the energy-giving foods. Study them all in 6.1. To sum up, an action item for living a healthy lifestyle is to take control of yourself and what you're eating. In 6.5, the issue of self-esteem is discussed. Do you know what a self-esteem is? It refers to the opinion of yourself. So if you have a high self-esteem, you hold yourself in high regard. You have confidence in your own ability. Take note that this does not mean you think you are better than others. You just have the necessary confidence in yourself to be able to complete tasks on your own, not relying on other people's approval. The opposite of this is a low self-esteem, where such a person relies on the approval of others to complete tasks. Read and study 6.5.1, where people who are mentally and emotionally healthy are discussed. Mental, that's emotional health, has to do with the mind's health, while physical health has to do with the body. People who are thus mentally and emotionally mind healthy have a sense of contentment. They have self-confidence. They have a zest for life. Read all of them in 6.5.1. Another paragraph of interest is 6.5.2, where it is discussed why a low self-esteem is dangerous for mental and emotional health. Study to know this content in detail. Important in 6.5 is what affects self-esteem. You have to think of a few events that will affect children with regards to their self-esteem. Positive will be when they have good marks in a test, and negative would be when they are not successful. But study 6.5 in this regard. When we page to the LAs of this unit, LA 2, 3, and 7 are important. Have a look at each one of LA 2, 3, and 7. In conclusion to Unit 6 are LA 7, which are the action items for a healthy lifestyle. There are other suggested specific actions in LA 7, and it will be worthwhile to study them. So test yourself. Will you be able to describe a high and low self-esteem? Will you be able to identify learners with a low self-esteem? Will you be able to assist them in achieving a high self-esteem? Make sure to know them all. The study guide contains adequate information and facts. It's not necessary to study from any other source for the exams, and remember to also study your assignment. It is important to study the facts. You have to know all the facts, and then also have a look in the presentation for the different kinds of short answer questions which can be asked, namely to fill in words, to name definitions, and when you have a column A and B, and you must combine the correct answers. Have a look in the presentation. And please feel free to contact me regarding any uncertainties and questions you have about your subject. Good luck with the exams. You will be rewarded for hard work and dedication.